Hi, hello, welcome back. For today's video, I'm going to be taking you along a weekend in my life because as of right now, I have zero plans. Not that I have plans really ever, but especially this weekend, I have no plans. My only ideas of what I'm going to be doing this weekend is reading and probably painting. So just be prepared for this to be very chatty, maybe a little chaotic. I don't really know what this is going to look like. I just figured I would take you along my weekend, basically being inside and very introverted and very hermit like. In terms of what I've been reading, I just finished Wild Side by Elsie Silver. I think I've mentioned this in a previous video before, but I have heard raving reviews about Wild Side. I've heard people say like this is their most favorite Elsie Silver book ever, or their most favorite book in the Rose Hill series so far. And of course, I have to be the one to just not love it as much as other people. I still enjoyed it. I just wasn't obsessed with it or in love with it. I like other Elsie Silver books better than this one. The main thing about Wildside is that it's a marriage of convenience trope, and I was really excited for that because I don't know, I feel like marriage of convenience can be really fun. Definitely Wildside delivered on the whole my wife comments. I feel like there's a line in Wildside where it's like, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. So at least I had that going for it, but I felt like the marriage of convenience kind of ended there. I was just wanted a little bit more out of it. Also, not gonna lie, the MMC Reese, he kind of annoyed me in the beginning because he really lacked in communicating with the FMC Tabitha, and he also just made a few rude comments. I was like, ugh. But I will say he did get significantly better after the beginning, so at least that's good. And then the FMC Tabitha, I actually really liked her, and I thought she was an amazing character. The only thing that annoyed me wasn't even about her character herself, but just the perception of her character. She's painted as very combative, especially in the beginning, for trying to protect her nephew because her nephew's mom, aka her sister, recently passed away, and the MMC Reese is the sister's landlord, who the sister granted him custody of her son, the nephew of Tabitha. So it was just very convoluted and complicated. I just didn't like how Tabitha was painted as combative for essentially trying to care for and protect for her nephew, because in her eyes, this random landlord is coming in and saying, well, I have custody of this kid and I'm taking him to Florida with me. I don't know how else you're supposed to react in that situation. Another thing that I wish was just a little bit more in Wildside was the emotional development. Yes, the characters individually had emotional depth on their own, but together as a couple, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of emotional depth. And something about me and the romance books that I tend to like more is if there is that emotional piece there. I liked it, I enjoyed it, I had fun while reading it for the most part. I just feel like some other areas of the book just lacked, in my opinion. I also just started Leather and Lark, which is book 2, the first book being Butcher and Blackbird, which I read Butcher and Blackbird in February. I listened to the audiobook of it, which the audio narration was superb, very good. I found Butcher and Blackbird to be really fun in a weird way, but also really cringy at times. So that basically just sums up how I felt about that book. So I kind of assumed that how I feel about Leather and Lark is going to be similar to how I felt about Butcher and Blackbird, just because same series, same universe, same author, but we shall see how it goes. I'm still in the beginning stages of Leather and Lark. Leather and Lark is really hard for me to say. Still in the beginning stages of that book, and I started it last night at 1 a.m., which don't ask why. I don't really know why I did that, but I did. and I read about 57 pages, very beginning stages. But if you didn't know, Leather and Lark is like the ruinous romance series where every main character has some sort of vice. So in this case, the MMC Lachlan, he is a contract, if you catch my drift, and the FMC Lark is a serial, if you catch my drift. Except hear me out for Lark, because she hunts after bad men. So it's one of those situations where you support a woman's wrongs and it's okay. That is essentially what the book is about. I don't really know too much beyond that because I didn't read the blurb and I want to be surprised by when I'm actually reading the book. So I'm finding out the plot as I go, as I'm reading the book. That is what I last read. That is what I'm currently reading. For the rest of today, I think I'm gonna go outside again because it's really nice out. Try to enjoy the nice weather before it turns bad again. And definitely later and tonight, I'm gonna be reading more of Leather and Lark and hopefully get through a good chunk of it because I feel like it has potential to be a fun book. Fun yet cringy, but still fun. One of my new hobbies is painting. I recently got a acrylic paint set and some brushes, so I've been enjoying it as a hobby. I don't think I'm an artist by any means, but I don't know, just something like fun to do and it makes me happy. I think this one is my favorite just because it's like dark and moody. My second favorite is definitely this one, which I just did, but I don't know. Once again, not an artist. It's the next day. I didn't get that far into Leather and Lark as I wanted to yesterday. I think I started at like page 57 and then I ended yesterday night at like maybe 116, somewhere around there, which is a decent amount of pages read, but I really wanted to read more yesterday, but I didn't, mainly because I was just very distracted and tired. Yesterday, I woke up at like 5:30 a.m., which I usually don't wake up at 5:30 a.m. And by nighttime yesterday, I was like already crashing. So I just wasn't a very focused reader. I completely forgot that Leather and Lark is technically like a marriage of convenience. So very excited about that. I guess I'm reading back-to-back Marriage of Convenience books with Wildside and now Leather and Lark, so go figure. I'm gonna be honest, there was quite a bit of setup in Leather and Lark in the beginning, just in terms of Lark and her family, and I guess like the family business, but I don't know. I was like following it along and it makes sense, but also like I just wasn't that interested in reading about it. And I feel like it was quite a bit of time in the beginning set on that. And I was like, but I want to get into like the fun parts of the book. And I felt like Butcher and Blackbird started off more fun because of the whole game between Rowan and Sloane. So it was just more fun for lack of a better term, to read. And with Leather and Lark, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't have that same level of fun yet. Perhaps I just have to read more of the book and it'll start getting fun. I'm gonna keep on reading today. I made my afternoon coffee and we will see how far I get along. I'm not even gonna say I'm gonna read a lot because I don't even know if I'm gonna read a lot. I ended up finishing Leather and Lark last night. I stayed up a little too late trying to finish that book because I just wanted to know how the conclusion was going to go. Like I mentioned previously, this is a marriage of convenience book trope, and I really enjoyed like the slow burn romance of their relationship just because it felt very realistic because it's marriage of convenience. Like they didn't initially like each other but found themselves in a marriage, so it makes sense that they're like not so down bad for each other right at the start. However, I will say the plot of Leather and Lark was significantly less fun than Butcher and Blackbird, which was kind of sad. I'm a little disappointed by it because of how fun Butcher and Blackbird was, even though it was about gross topics. Like the way it was written and the plot being like a game, it was just so much more fun. Based on how Leather and Lark started, you would have thought that the plot would have had like more stakes, and the high stakes just like weren't really there. Also, I just thought it was so hilarious that Lark, the FMC, her family is in the muffin business. Like at first when I read that, I thought it was code for like something else, but no, it's muffins. And there's so much drama in the muffin business. It was just so unserious. I think I'm gonna give Leather and Lark like 3 stars. I enjoyed parts of it, but I don't know, I just like didn't have the same amount of fun with Leather and Lark as I did with Butcher and Blackbird, unfortunately. But I am still gonna read the third book, which I think is called Scythe and Sparrow, but don't quote me on that. And I feel like I have about 16 weeks left on my wait time for that. So it's going to be a while until I read the third book. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Leather and Lark. Also, last night I started a new book, A Forgery of Roses. This book reminds me of Belladonna, and I loved Belladonna. A Forgery of Roses is a young adult fantasy romance, and it also has like a murder mystery plotline. Basically, the main character has this magical ability as a painter where she can like alter appearances based on her painting, and she has to keep that a secret in order to protect herself and her family. But somehow the governor's wife finds out about her secret and essentially forces her to help out her family because I think the governor's youngest son is either dying or has already passed away. I'm not quite sure yet because I don't remember based on the blurb, and I actually haven't gotten to that point of the book yet. So, one of the two. Started that last night. I'm like maybe 20 pages into it. It's been good so far, but very beginning stages. Also, I think I'm also going to start All This Twisted Glory, which is book 3 in this Woven Kingdom series, because I need a physical book to read. I like having a Kindle book and a physical book to read at the same time because I read Kindle books at night when I'm in bed and physical books during the day / earlier in the night before I go to bed. So I don't have to like lay down and try to read a physical book at the same time because it just doesn't work and it's not comfortable. Anyways, upon like filming and editing this video, because I am editing it as I go, I just realized how boring my life is, and I don't know why I had expectations of this weekend being more fun or more enjoyable to watch, even though I literally said at the start of this video that I have no plans and I hardly have any plans, and I was going to spend the whole weekend at home being a hermit. And yet, at the end of the weekend, I'm shocked that it wasn't more exciting and or more exciting for somebody to watch. But this is just a realistic look at a weekend for me because I truly don't really do anything, which is kind of sad. but it's just how my life is right now. And maybe this is a different take on a spend a weekend with me because I feel like a lot of the content out there, especially on YouTube, is just like a jam packed weekend full of stuff or things that people are doing that just seem more interesting and exciting to watch. And I love watching content like that. Perhaps this is just a more realistic version of that for me because I did absolutely nothing. And it's okay to do absolutely nothing. You don't have to feel bad about not doing things with your free time, is all I'm trying to say. But with that being said, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. Really, thank you so much for watching because I know it wasn't very exciting and it was probably boring and it was very chatty. So if you made it this far and you listened to all of what I had to say, thank you. And with that being said, I will see you next time.